It is the Youngstown area's most in-depth geeky weather video. It's weather for weather geeks. Welcome to the Wednesday evening edition, everyone. It's Eric here, of course. Been a busy couple of days here in the weather department, but finally we're going to get a break over the next several days. Not much going on in terms of real active weather through the weekend and into the first couple of days of next week. So we'll spend a little bit of time reviewing what happened last night and into this morning, and then talk a little bit about the future as well. First of all, I wanted to bring up, this was our final snow forecast we issued late yesterday afternoon into early last evening. We basically had a blanket 3 to 6 for our viewing area, and I think that turned out to be a pretty good forecast. I would give our forecast an A. As far as the final forecast, we started out with some 6 to 9 inch ranges in parts of the region. We trimmed that back, and eventually we trimmed it out of our viewing area. Truth be told, that original forecast of 6 to 9 wasn't that bad in some places. Now, nobody got 9 inches in our viewing area, but several places got 6 or 7. So we, didn't necessarily have to take that out, but 3 to 6 still turned out to be fine. Most places saw at least 3. 3 was pretty much in the bag. Most places saw somewhere between 4 and about 6, 6.5. I saw a few isolated 7-inch amounts, and the Pittsburgh area, that was a bone of contention on Twitter. Some of my Twitter followers who were also following the TV and Weather Service forecast down in Pittsburgh, they noticed I was at the high end, and Pittsburgh had about 8 inches or 8.5 inches worth of snow out of this. So the high end was definitely the way to go down there. When we look at the last 12 hours worth of radar data, here we go, finally. Things went pretty much as planned as far as the timing of things. The snow lingered a little bit later than I thought it would in our southern viewing area this afternoon. It still was spitting snow around mid-afternoon from East Palestine down to East Liverpool, but it was pretty much at that point non-impactful. The impactful snow was certainly late last night after midnight and lasting through about mid-morning today. We're done with the snowflakes now, finally. Again, as far as snowfall totals, this is just a real small sample of 4, 5, 6 inches. Pretty common. At the Youngstown Warren Airport, we picked up a little more than 5. I'll show you some airport stats in just a second. Here's a look at the storm right now, still impacting parts of the East Coast. Boy, another tough forecast over here. Some busts, certainly, in D.C., where it's just had a heck of a time snowing this year. It snowed there. They got a few inches, but they could have gotten a lot more. The northern fringe of this was also an extremely difficult forecast from Boston down into the suburbs of New York City and into central PA as well. So all things considered, I really liked how our forecast turned out. It could have been a bust like some people had to our east. Here's a time-lapse video from Boardman. This is 224 Market Street, right by the Walgreens there. And boy, tough sledding on the roads this morning. Tons and tons of accidents, of course. And conditions finally improved, starting around mid to late morning. And boy, when they started to improve, it was quick. Once the snow let up and the sky tried to brighten a little bit, that strong March sun really did its magic. And you look around at parking lots now and asphalt surfaces, sidewalks. It hardly looks like it even snowed today. There's been a ton of melting on paved surfaces, and the sun angle, the time of year makes a lot of difference. In the dead of winter, the sun only gets to about 25, 26 degrees above the horizon, pretty low in the sky. That makes the sun very weak, its impacts very weak. When we get into early spring now, on today's date, the sun angle is almost twice as high. It's almost at 50 degrees above the horizon, on our way to about 72 degrees at the start of summer. Still got a ways to go till that, but it's much, much stronger than in the dead of winter. So, when it snows at this time of year, it's hard to get it to stick around, even when it's pretty cold outside. 73.5 inches worth of snow so far this season at the Youngstown Warren Airport. Now, who knows what April will bring as far as snow goes. Sometimes we see a couple of quick, relatively minor events, usually in April. This 73.5, I suspect, is going to be in the neighborhood of our final tally of the season. I wouldn't want to say we're done with accumulating snow yet. But odds are certainly low that we're going to see much in the way of additional accumulations during the rest of March. And then when we get into April, typically, any storms are pretty minor in nature. So I suspect we're going to end up somewhere between our current number and 80 as far as the final tally of the season. Average at the Youngstown Warren Airport is in the low to mid 60s, so it'll be an above average year. Average through today's date's 57, so we're about 16.5 inches above average for the season through today's date, and about Let's see here. That is 6 inches above where we were at this time last year. All right, big picture for your Thursday, a calmer day. We'll see some afternoon sun, but it's going to be cold. Only 36. Our average is a dozen degrees higher than that, and the record high is 81 on tomorrow's date. 12 hours and about 14 minutes worth of daylight on your Thursday. So a cloudy start, but I think as we get into the afternoon, the sky's going to brighten, especially from I-80 on south. Clouds should roll back in, though, on Friday. Kind of a February-ish day here on Friday with, kind of a trough of low pressure swing through the eastern lakes. I wouldn't even be totally shocked if someone saw a snow flurry, especially over Mercer County on Friday. But I think we'll see calm weather for the weekend. Now, this system on Saturday is going to miss us, but we'll probably see a veil of high clouds. I like to call this milky sunshine sometimes. I think we'll have that on Saturday, where you can pick out the sun's disk kind of through the clouds, but the clouds are obscuring the sun for a lot of the day. But you'll be able to tell the sun is up there, certainly. This will be a pretty big snowstorm along a fairly narrow swath. Now, I wouldn't take this verbatim right now, but certainly places that have a chance of a pretty good snow accumulation include Cincinnati, Indianapolis, maybe Chicago, Springfield, Illinois, up towards Des Moines, Minneapolis, kind of that zone. But there's no modeling that shows this impacting us during the upcoming weekend. Real quick look at the longer range. It is going to warm up next week. Here's that warm up on the model here. After a chilly weekend, this little slice of nice right here. So I've got 60 in the forecast for next Wednesday, even though it might rain some. Boy, this little slice, I wish it would stick around longer, but see all this cold air across the western U.S. Building once again? There's nothing holding it back from coming east. And another surge of cold building up here across the northern territories of Canada. That's also going to come our way. So look what happens as we roll this forward and head towards Easter, which is the first day of April. All that cold oozes east. And, when we're talking cold on April 1st, that doesn't mean it's going to be in the teens or anything, but a day where it's 10 degrees colder than average or even 8 degrees colder than average on April 1st, that means, highs are probably in the lower, maybe middle 40s. That doesn't sound too bad considering it's been so cold lately, but, lower to middle 40s is a pretty chilly day by April 1st standards. So, I think the first handful of days, perhaps even the first week or so of April, odds are very strong, odds are very high that it's going to be colder than average. So let's take advantage of that 3-day stretch next week, Monday through Wednesday, where it's going to be pretty mild while we have it, because I don't think it's going to stick around long. Thanks for watching tonight's Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll have another geeky update tomorrow evening, same time, same place. Thanks again to all my new followers on Facebook. Picked up hundreds of new followers over the last couple of days. So thanks for coming along for the ride. Hope you'll find my posts informative. Like to poke fun at myself sometimes, have a little fun. I take my job seriously, but I don't take myself seriously, and I think you'll see that on my social media outlets, including not only Facebook, but Twitter and Instagram as well. I'm Eric, WFMJ, on Twitter and on Instagram.